2013 prelims question from climatology, subtopic climatic zones. Now, what does the question read? Which of the following are unique characteristics of equatorial forest? So this question is dealing with the vegetation of the equatorial region. So first, let's try to understand about this vegetation. Now, about the vegetation of the equatorial region, what we see is, first of all, equatorial zone would be characterized by ample of the sunlight, okay, plus the temperature is warm throughout the year, as well as the moisture availability is quite good because it rains throughout the year. That's the reason why this provides to be the most conducive conditions for the growth of plants. And so the first thing that I find over here is very huge variety of plants and the trees that grow over here. So in this case, okay, variety. So variety of vegetation. Variety of vegetation, I can put it as high diversity. Diversity is very high. Now, because there is so dense growth of vegetation over here due to high diversity, the most valuable thing over here would be sunlight. Who gets the sunlight? There would be a high little competition for the sunlight. And so over here what we find is some trees, given the conducive conditions, can grow very high, okay, with very broad canopy cover. Now the trees over here can grow up to the height of 120 meters or so. And these trees are going to form the broad canopy, which would be the continuous canopy cover. This would be the first layer of canopy. Whatever sunlight filters out from here, okay, reaches the bottom, there would be some other set of trees that would be ready to utilize it. And so very close, I'll find another set of trees, okay, again, which will have a continuous canopy cover, okay, just below it, going to utilize the sunlight reaching over here. And this process goes on. And so over here, I find different set of vegetation with specific canopy covers like this. Now this canopy arrangement, if you see, it looks like a step pattern, layered pattern. And this property of the forest is what we call as the stratification of the forest. So here I'll say forests are stratified. In this, the scheme of stratification, I may find, let's say over here, some shrubs also over here at this side. Okay, along with that, there would be some surface vegetation. Along with that, there would be the root zones over here. So in this case, how many stratas I find? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can identify 6 stratas very easily over here. Okay, and with respect to equatorial rainforest, what we find is these are the forests which have one of the highest stratifications. Okay, and here the stratas may go as high as up to 11 layers also. So second property of the vegetation over here is the stratification. The stratification. In addition to that, now one very important characteristic feature of these forests, okay, which are found in deciduous forests also, but primarily the feature of equatorial rainforest, which are the growth of climbers. And when we identify these climbers, we can identify two basic types, one which is liana and another which is epiphytes. Now lianas and epiphytes both are climbers only, but over here the difference between these two, lianas and epiphytes. Lianas are the ones which are rooted in soil. So they are rooted in soil and they take the support of the plant to reach higher height up to the sunlight. Okay, on the other hand, epiphytes are rooted on tree only. So over here in this scheme, if you see, take for instance this particular picture. In this case, you can see this vegetation growing over here. It is rooted onto the branch of the tree only. This is the branch of the tree. So this is rooted on the tree only. So this belongs to the category which would be epiphyte. On the other hand, if you see this particular example, here I can see these climbers around this tree, okay, moving upwards, but these are somewhere rooted in the soil only. And so these would belong to the category that is lianas. So this is the basic difference between epiphytes and lianas. And in this context, if you see the Epiphytes, some of the examples that I find over here of epiphytes would include mosses, okay, ferns, orchids. On the other hand, with respect to lianas, if you see different types of vines, okay, like grapevine. Grapevine is one such example over here. Okay, similarly, rattan would be another example of the liana. So epiphytes, lianas. Now, one thing to note over here, very important point, is the epiphytes, although are rooted onto the tree only, yet it does not take its nutrients from the tree. Rather, it takes its nutrients from the air, takes its moisture from the air, and so in that particular case, the epiphytes should not be identified as a parasite. Parasite, we understand, where one species benefits from another but harms the other species, which is the host. Here, because the epiphyte is not taking the nutrients from the tree on itself, okay, it should not be identified as parasites in majority of the cases. Rather, this interaction should be identified as commensalism. Now, commensalism, what happens in commensalism? Commensalism, in this case, one species benefits from the interaction and another species is not impacted at all. So, there is this +0 relationship. In this case, I'll say epiphyte is benefiting from the tree, okay, where it gets the root, the base for its growth, okay, and on the other hand, the tree is not impacted majorly. There would be some competition for the sunlight, that's it, but that would not amount to harm as such. So this interaction is not parasitism but rather commensalism. So this is the idea of lianas and epiphytes. Now with all of these ideas, if we go back to the question that was asked from us, okay, what does the question read? Unique characteristics of equatorial forest. First, presence of tall, closely set trees with crowns forming continuous canopy. This already we have seen, okay, how the canopy cover, the continuous canopy covers are formed over here. So in this case now, the first statement, okay, I'll find it to be true. Presence of tall, closely set trees with crowns forming a continuous canopy. Second, coexistence of large number of species. Yes, of course, we have already established that the biodiversity here is extremely high. And so this statement is very much correct. Third, presence of numerous varieties of epiphytes. Just now we have discussed epiphytes as well as lianas, I have told you. Okay, there is huge variety of them and they are major feature of equatorial rainforest, which means presence of numerous varieties of epiphytes. This also is correct statement. And so our answer becomes D, that is 1, 2 and 3. So this is the solution for this question from climatic zones.